What's up, everybody? It's Rob from the Basement Bike Shop, video 4 of our Hitmain build series, and today we're going to be installing the tires, tubes, wheels, and chain. The main tool we're going to need today is our chain breaker, or chain tool. And I used to use these little chain brutes, but as BMX chains have gotten stronger, I've snapped more and more of them. So I've just invested in the Park CT 3.2. It has a sliding plate so that my chain can get all the way against the back block. I've also seen them where you can adjust the back block side with a screw-in thing. That probably work really well also. And then a 8mm Allen wrench, and then a bike pump or an air compressor. So the first thing we're going to do is put a little bit of air into our tube so that when we put it on the wheel, we don't have any twists in it. Not a lot, just a little bit so it takes shape. And then we're going to put it into our tire. I've always lined up the valve stem with the writing on the tire. It's something that I learned working in bike shops, and I just continue to do. That gives a nice, clean, professional look, because a lot of times the writing on the rim lines up with the valve hole on the rim. So then all your writing lines up. Then we're ready to put our tire on our rim. We're going to start by the valve hole. We're going to put our valve stem through first, and then the back edge of the tire. Then we're going to work our way around, putting the back side in. I try not to use tire levers if at all possible, and usually a tire under 80 psi you shouldn't need to use tire levers, but it depends, I guess. For this tire I don't have to. And then after we get the back edge in, we're going to get the front edge in. I like to start by the valve stem, push it in, and then I push my valve stem up and pull it back down to make sure that my tire is not pinched in there. And then work your way around, pushing the tire in. And then once you get the tire all the way on, it's time to put some air in it. Now we're still not going to fill it up all the way yet. We're going to put about 25-30 psi in it, and then check to make sure that the tire is beaded correctly all the way around. And how you do that is, most tires have a little line that runs just outside the edge of the rim. Now you can see it, and we're just going to check to make sure that that runs parallel to the rim all the way around. If it dips in, we're just going to push the tire in and try and pop it out a little bit. And after we check it both sides and make sure it's all beaded correctly, we're going to go ahead and fill it up all the way. So now that we got both tires on, we're going to put the front wheel on first. Now these profile hubs have axle bolts instead of axle nuts, so the bolts thread into the hub. Pretty much works the same way, but you use an 8mm Allen wrench to tighten them down, and the front wheel we can line up and tighten down all the way. And after you get both sides of the front wheel tightened down, we can move to the back wheel. We're going to slide our back wheel into our frame. Remember to keep the drive side on the correct side. And then we're just going to tighten it down a little bit, just so that the wheel doesn't fall out of the frame. We have to adjust the chain tension later before we set the actual places of the back wheel. Our chain is already prepped. The pin is hanging out one side. Usually I have it just to the inside a little bit so that when I clip it together, It kind of hooks the other end of the chain and holds while I get the chain tool ready. Now when you do this, you should have your pin hanging out facing to the outside of the bike. So we're doing right hand drive, we want it facing the right side of the bike. Then I'm going to drape it over the top. And bring it around the bottom. And then just clip your chain together. And you can see, because our pin is sticking in that little bit, it hooked the link on the other side and it's just holding it. And then we're going to take our chain tool, put the plate through the chain, line it all up. Make sure that the pin of your tool hits square on the pin of the chain. And you can see with the sliding plate that it slides all the way against the back block and then it presses in. Now if after you do this your chain has a tight spot, a lot of times I just grab the chain and then I kind of wiggle it back and forth in all directions. Just to get a little gap in that pin. Now that the chain is on, we're ready to set our chain tension and tighten down our back wheel. Without chain tensioners, there's a way that I like to do it. I think it's the simplest way. And I pull the tire back and I tighten down the non-drive side. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to pull the tire over using my hand like this against the frame. And you can see it tightens up the chain. And then I'm going to tighten that side. Now you want your chain not too tight, but not so loose that it hits the frame when you move it back and forth. Then after that, go back to the non-drive side, loosen it up, adjust your tires straight, and then tighten it back up. Then we're going to double check our chain tension again. Make sure it's not too tight. If it's too tight, all you're going to do is wear out the bearings in your crank, your cassette body, your hub, and wear out your chain faster. Well, that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. The next and final video in this build will be the installation of the bars, seat posts, and pedals. If you want to check out the rest of the build, you can click on the playlist or there'll be a link in the description. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can comment below or you can email me. Thanks.